Here we are, we're live. So welcome to the Saturday Sect show. So we're just going to put on some music here while we're waiting for everyone to get online and just get the show going. So I'm going to change the background a bit here for you, give you something else to look at. It's a little better. And I'm going to throw the band in here, but I'm going to disappear. I'm right in the background here, but the band will they'll be out there for a bit. And, I'm going to go get a drink. See you in a bit. There we go. I have to re-say all of those things? Wow.
If you want.
Okay. Well, I was just saying that we have an envelope here, and it's like an impromptu talk, if you're giving an impromptu talk. So, yeah. You know, at the Kingdom Hall, you know, as a brother or perhaps a sister, you could give an impromptu talk. Let's say someone didn't show up to do their part. So, you know, whatever your qualifications, whatever the part, you can give these impromptu talks. So the brothers cornered me one time and had me do this impromptu talk in the Proclaimers book. And it was on Russell and those guys. And I just messed it up. But for the most part, you can just read it. Just read it right from the material. So I said to my good wife, the producer of this show, I don't mind doing an impromptu sealed envelope thing. Long as everything's in here. I don't have to, I'm lazy, you know. It's got to be all in here. All I got to do is read it. Okay, so let's go. We're going to put the music on. And do we need the band? No, we're not going to put the band on, but we're going to put the music on. Just some light music. That's what I'm supposed to cue up. So we're going to go like this. And we're going to... Whoa! That thing shot right out of my hand. Holy, whoa, there's a lot of stuff in here. Huh, I guess it's a surprise. Okay, so, well, I'm supposed to read this, so I'll read it. It says here, let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex. Now that's S-E-C-T, like up here. And let's talk about sex. So that's the Saturday Sex Show. We're going to talk about sex. And the program today is The World is Against Me. That's a typical Jehovah's Witness line. The world is against me. Where does that come from? And strong families. What does God want? Does he want strong families? And then the next card is faith versus belief. So there's the program for today, folks. So if you're stick with us here, and we will delve into some of these subjects. Now, the first subject we're going to talk about is the world is against me. And we're just going to cut this music here. I think it's tailoring its way out here. And yeah, the world is against me. So when you think about that, what do you think about as a Jehovah's Witness, ex-Jehovah's Witness, whatever? I hadn't thought about this a whole lot. As far as the world is against me. But, you know, it's funny, when you live with someone and they're really honest with you, especially now, my wife is really honest with me. We've been working on this, and we've been together now for 10 years. You know, I walked out of the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall back in 2012, so that's a few years ago. And so now we're 2023, and it was only about a year ago that I started to talk about my old faith. I never really talked about it much all those years. I just kind of got out, and I wanted to kind of start a new life. Well, it's not that easy, because if we don't debrief, and we talked about debriefing on our last show, it's the importance of debriefing, and if you haven't yet debriefed, it's important. And what I found in my journey, and now I can look back, I can reflect on everything and all of the hidden beliefs that I had, the suppressed things that were going on in my mind, and how this caused problems. and how I would react. So my wife used to tell me, you know, several years ago, why are you always feel like the world's against you? Everything's against you. Why do you feel that way? And I hadn't really thought of it back then. And even some of the music I was choosing, you know, the world's against me kind of music, depressing. And I think part of it is that the Satan thing, you know, this programming that we had in the Jehovah's Witness religion, that the world is against us. So anything outside of the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall doors, the world is against you. You know, Satan's out there, and it's very much that kind of a religion. When you think about it, when you stand back and you look back in, and even if you're in and you're looking around, it is like that. All of the talks, all of the watchtowers, the world is against you. And so I carried this outside. I walked outside the religion and I said, I'm done with it. But it's not done with you up here if we still carry those feelings forward. And so it's the big question is, can we get rid of it? And so that's what we're going to explore today. We're going to explore the effects of this programming, this indoctrination, and can we get rid of this? Because it changes who we are on the outside if the world's against us all the time. And we leave the religion, the world's still against us, you know. I started a new religion. When I left the Jehovah's Witness religion, I started a new religion. I joined a new sect. And do you know what that sect was called? The solar industry. I joined the solar industry, and I now realize it that it was a belief. It was a following, and I wanted to be just like Elon Musk. I wanted to have one of his electric cars, and I was going to do everything to have one of his watchtowers. I mean, one of his electric cars. You see how that is? It's a belief. It's a sect. It's a following. He's a good guy and everything, you know, just like Russell, Rutherford, all these guys are good guys, but they're all about business, they're all about money at the end of the day. And like my wife said to me, she says, you know, sometimes we got to look at the age that we're living in, and you know, maybe we're not going to be in this electric age because, and she started showing me research, and she'd pull up this research, and she said, you know, to make a solar panel, it actually causes more damage to blah, blah, blah than, you know, what we have already coming out of the ground and already piped in. And then I didn't want to hear it. Don't show me that. Don't show me your religion. I want to believe in my watchtower, you see. So, you know, we get into this, we hop from one belief. I found this for me, and it wasn't religion. I wanted nothing to do with religion. But I still hopped into another belief, and rather than being, you know, so now I look back, I gleaned a lot out of the solar industry, and I now can go in and set up a solar panel. I can make power and do stuff like that, and it's empowering. So now here's what we can take from being in the Jehovah's Witness religion. You know, I went through the Jehovah's Witness religion. I now have, you know, I can take this Bible and I can use it, and you know, I even have it here. I keep it right up here. But I have a couple Bibles, but you see now I was using it to hold my light up, but I'm going to put it back there because my lighting went. We are working on new lighting. You know, we're just running a little home studio, so we have lighting's the biggest issue when we're running these studios. If you talk to anybody that's doing this, you need to get good lighting. But we are working on that. We sold our farm, so we're just kind of temporarily set up here now. And here, that's funny, eh? It was better. I'll turn it up. Yeah, that might be a little better. I'll try this. Yeah. There's a lot of light. Sometimes I find more light isn't necessarily the best. And then we shut some lights off. I can dim this light. And this one I think I need. You know, when you come out of these shows, you're almost blind. But, oh, you see, here's what's happening. I'll tell you exactly what's happening. This isn't bad. But what's happening is I get the west sun coming in on this window here. So now the sun's went down. I was relying on it for my studio. That's okay. I thought 2 o'clock in the afternoon I should get lots of sunlight. But it's not bad. We're going to carry on with this talk about belief and how the world's against me. This whole feeling that we get coming out of the Jehovah's Witness religion that the world's against me. So even when you come out, you're going to... I felt like the world was against me. And my wife, of course, she's woken up. She came out of the Catholic religion when she was 16, probably 18 maybe. She got into it when she was earlier, going through elementary school. She got into it. And she realized, she started to wake up when she was young. She got out of it, left it. But we both learned a lot through this process of my waking up here a year ago. Together, we learned that, wow, all the religions are sects. Jesus formed the sect, Jesus himself, from the mainstream religion of his day. So he formed this Jesus sect, and then from Jesus there was other sects that formed. There was a lot of sects, little cults. Cults are ones that get going. Sects, we're gonna examine that here in a little bit, what the difference is. There's a bit of a difference. Now, what I want to do here, I think we're gonna look at what the Bible says, and I'll pull the Bible right up so you guys can follow along. This is now the reason we chose Saturday, just to let the audience know, is because in Australia it's the weekend, Sunday. And Australia is a big part of the viewers. So if you're online, welcome to the show. I hope you guys carry on. We're going to try to carry on with this Tuesday. 2 o'clock, and we found YouTube's pretty good. YouTube gives us a kind of a scale, and we get to look at all of our viewers all over the world, and YouTube actually tells us when the best time for us as artists, as creators, to do our lives. And so this is one of the best times, Saturday or Sunday. And we tried Sunday last week. We're doing this without advertising the show, of course. We're just going to have it like this and just pick subjects. And I open this envelope, of course, it's easy for me. So the world is against me. So we're going to carry on. Why and what happens? Why is the world against us? How does that get into us? Where does that feeling come from? We're going to explore that a little bit. So I'm going to open you up to my desktop here. And you can follow along with me and see some of the research that I'm going to do. Because remember, this is all hidden. So this is all... So I already got one screen pulled up here. I already plugged in Faith. I'm just looking for how to open up this screen here. Yeah. Screen capture. There we are. So now I might just take myself here and... just change my view here a little bit. There. Now, I got a little bit of a lighting problem here, so it's, yeah, no, that's good. That should be good. You guys can kind of see the screen there. Okay, so now the screen that I'm looking at is on Faith. And I went to my Bible tool because faith and belief are kind of similar but different. So what does the Bible say? Matthew 21 and 22. Jesus says, whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive if you have faith. Well, that doesn't really tell me at all. Hebrews 11 and 6. And without faith it is impossible to please him, for whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him, for whoever draws near. So without faith, it's impossible. So, okay, what is faith? Faith comes from hearing. Romans 10 says faith comes from hearing, and hearing through the word of Christ. So, okay, well, we hear it through our ears. So faith is Hebrews 11 and verse 1. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for and the convictions of things not seen. So that's a better description perhaps of faith. So faith is the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen. So let's just carry on. We are going to look at the dictionary definition of this as well. Now, Mark, and Jesus answered them, have faith in God. Truly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be taken up and thrown into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes what he says will come to pass, it will be done for him. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. So that's a pretty big statement. Jesus, one of the illustrations is faith the size of a mustard seed. Just a little bit of faith can move a mountain. And we think of, in a literal sense, there was a Swiss engineer here in our country. He came to our country, to Canada, earlier in the early 1900s. And we were trying to get a train track from Alberta to BC earlier in the 1900s. And there was a big Rocky Mountains were in the way. And the only way, unless you move a mountain. And all the engineers were joking, who can move a mountain? Well, there was this Swiss engineer who had faith, and he had a thought. And it started inside his mind. He was an engineer, and of course he's done some things, but he decided that he was going to come out of the box with this idea that's never been done before, but he's going to talk about it. So he did. And the idea was to drill a hole in the mountain, and a circular hole through this mountain, and come out the other side. And they did that, and they did 2 of them here first in the world. So that's how it started with a thought. Faith is like a thought; it's a belief. And so this engineer, of course, he just didn't believe in something wild. He had experimented. He had built bridges. He had done things, this Swiss engineer. And so based on all of the things that he had done, he knew that this was possible. And it was. And isn't that so when we think of some of these great men of today, like Elon Musk wanting to go to Mars and landing a rocket? Instead of that rocket falling on someone's head, this thing lands on a ship on the ocean, the part of the rocket after it shoots them up into space. We've all seen that. But these are truly miracles. But here's some men that, based on their faith, based on a thought, they have a belief. They believe, and they can visualize it. They can see it based on their experience. But isn't that how we all are? Maybe you want to build a doghouse. You start with a doghouse, and you can visualize it. You've seen pictures of it, and you looked at it. You can do that, and lo and behold, you can. You can build a doghouse. Next thing you know, you're building a real house, and that's how it all is. It's by starting, doing, and having failures, but getting back on the horse and riding it again and trying it again. But faith is something a little different too. Corinthians says, for we walk by faith, not by sight. Let me see, what else do we have here? Sometimes I highlight some of these scriptures. Now, I'm going to go over to belief. I plugged in the word belief, and let's see if something else comes up. Jesus says to him, have you believed because you have seen me? Blessed are those who have not seen, and yet they have believed. So believed's a little different. Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever believes in me will also do the works that I do, and greater works than these he will do, because I am going to the Father. So you see, belief has something to do with believing, like Jesus says, if you believe in me. So Jesus was there was something physical. There was an example. Well, do you believe in me? Elon Musk says, well, I can land that rocket. And so the first one, he comes up and it crashes, a total failure. The second one was a crash. There's a whole bunch of crashes. And finally he lands that rocket on the platform, and now no one can do that. So now do you believe in me, he says. So now everyone believes in him, and they just throw the money at him. And he says, I got an idea, and money just flows in because they believe in him. So that's what belief does, and we're going to see how that same belief is applied to Russell, the founder of the Jehovah's Witness religion, the sect, and Judge Rutherford, who carried that to the 10th degree, and he carried it to a narcissist level. Now, we can carry on. Mostly the Bible talks about belief in God or belief in Jesus. That's typically how the Bible speaks. Faith, I find, is an interesting word. You know, it takes faith for us to even leave the house, because, you know, we leave the house and let's say we have a car, we drive the car, we've driven it for years down this highway, and on this highway, all there is a dotted line, you know, just a dotted line separating this other car coming 100, or well, in Canada we call it 100 kilometers an hour. In the US it's 60 miles an hour. So it's coming this way, and you're coming this way, and you're both going like this. Well, you're hardly missing each other, and all there's no barrier. There's just a little dotted line built into the pavement, and you're supposed to trust that other person, that they're not, you know, so they're coming. What if they reach down and get a coffee and they just swerve a bit and they hit you? That takes a lot of faith to drive, to get out there and to drive. You see, if we didn't have a little bit of faith, now it's, our faith is extending beyond us. Our faith is now extending beyond the other person, you know, so we have to have a little bit of faith in that other person, a lot of faith, that they know how to drive as well, that they follow all the rules, that they're not going to do anything silly like reach down and grab a CD that drops or something and lose eye contact and swerve. You know how that can happen. So, but you see, we have to have faith. So for me to get in my car, leave my house, I have to have faith in you, because you're driving towards me. And there's nothing protecting me. So as a human race, we learn to have faith in each other. And that's what gets us through things, you know. And sometimes we're disappointed with others. And it costs lives, you know, because we put our faith in them. And this we can parallel to the Watchtower. You know, many people have put their faith in Noor, for short term, Brother Noor, they call him, Brother Noor, Nathan Noor, the third president of the Watchtower, who said that it's wrong to take blood transfusions. So then all of these people have to put faith in Nathan Noor now and believe that, and it's Nathan Noor, because Rutherford didn't say that, and Russell didn't say that, and Jesus didn't say that, so it's Noor. So all of these people now put faith in Noor, just like driving a vehicle. You're trusting Noor that he's going to save that your life is going to be saved because of refusing a blood transfusion. So what ends up happening is you die prematurely, perhaps. You could have lived longer, and you miss out. There's a lot that's missed out on. And when you get to the other side, you find out that it was like suicide. You know, it was like murder. Be disappointing, wouldn't it? I would think so. You missed out on all that light, that journey that God gave you on earth. You missed out on a whole pile of it because of false faith, a false form of faith that we put in another man, Nathan Noor. And it's no one else in the Watchtower, it's Nathan Noor. He's the one that brought in the no blood transfusion. So we got to look at this man. He wasn't a prophet. He wasn't anything. He was just a president. But yet Nathan Noor deemed it necessary that, to this date, it's estimated over 30,000 Jehovah's Witnesses have given their lives up by refusing blood transfusions. So that's what faith does, and there's false faith. And we're going to look at this a little further. So now, what is faith? I'm gonna go through this because this is kind of you don't need to see the screen for this. Uh, we'll put you back in the studio. I was going to change the studio for this show. We might. I just used the same one we use on Tuesday, so it's just easier. Still getting to know all the electronics and stuff, so it takes a bit of time here. Now I'm gonna just go here and yeah, that kind of helps a bit with the shading maybe a bit there. Now, the question I wanted to cover here is, what is faith? Now, according to God, with Christianity, faith is in one sense is often discussed in terms of believing God's promises or trusting His faithfulness, relying on God. So, that can be a dicey subject, I think. Excuse me here. The world's a big place. There's a lot of religions, and I find it hard to believe that one religion is, to have faith that one religion is the only way, and the true way. I find that a hard thing to understand. I'm just going to try something here. I'm going to look at my Chrome filters here. Yeah. Now that didn't change it to the better, did it? Better default that. Yeah, it's the light. I could if you be patient with me, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to open my blinds and work with the sun. Let's see what that does. Hey, that cleaned it up a bit, eh? I don't know if that's worse. There. That might be better, eh? So what like I was saying earlier in the show, we sold our farm here, so what we're doing here is just temporary, and when we get to our new place, we might do more outdoor settings where we're going, so we'll take you away from the green screen room, and maybe it'd be more into some of the outdoor settings. And we are going to build a better green screen room in our new place, excuse me. So getting back to the topic here, what is faith? So faith is it's an interesting topic. It was one of my first public talks they gave me. I was a ministerial servant for a short period of time, and through the course of being a ministerial servant, they clone you to become an elder. And so they get the ministerial servant to do public talks. And we lived in a little country territory away out from Edmonton. And it was a little place called Cold Lake, Alberta. And there's an air base there. And we had some interesting experiences with the air base because it was closed off. If you ever worked near a military base, well, they called it the Tri-Town, and there was 3 towns, and the military base had kind of like a town of its own. And it was in Alberta here. Still is here. So the military base was closed, and then in the, the 90s, I was in that congregation in the 90s, mid-90s, they opened these air bases in Canada. And you could drive in. At one time you couldn't, unless you had a special pass. So the only way they could have studies with people on the airbase was informal witnessing. Let's say you met someone at the grocery store. You could line up a study and they could invite you on. Well, now the base was open and we were all allowed to go in there. And the circuit overseer, I want you to go in, he says, really cautiously, just do a call here, and then leave. 3 calls. And we thought, well, that's waste of time. 3 calls, why couldn't we do 6 calls? Or why couldn't we do 8 calls? So I started with this other brother and we do the 3 calls and then leave. Well, in those 3 calls, we were there for an hour each call, placing books on each call, just 3 calls. We'd leave. So then that Tuesday night, we're up on the stage giving experiences of, wow, and this happened, and blah, blah. So the next thing we knew, another elder signed out the territory, another elder, pioneer elder. We call him Brother Righteous. So Brother Righteous signs out this territory, and he's going to show better. So he brings in a group, a minivan full of people, packed full of people, minivan out in the military base. So we just got this territory signed out to us. And he went against all the rules because he's going to show us better. So all these people get out, and he does the formal thing where all these Jehovah's Witnesses spread out in a neighborhood, and 2 are here and 2 are there, and there's all these people going down a neighborhood. Well, they did this for the afternoon, and by the end of the day, all the elders in that group were in jail. The military police came by and found out who was the leader and put him in jail. And they had to get bailed out by the presiding overseer. And the presiding overseer came in and he says, what the hell? You guys are supposed to go do 3 calls and get out. Like, what the hell? And the territory got shut down. Circuit overseer shut it down. District overseer said, no, you guys can't even go onto the territory. So no longer could they go onto the territory. So what does that have to do with faith? It was just this is just people, us, working within the system as Jehovah's Witnesses. But I gave this talk on faith a way back then, and I was a ministerial servant. And I went up and I said, well, if I've got faith, I should be able to, and I had all my notes here, right? And I said, I should be able to do this talk, and I had garbage up there, and I threw them down, and I'm up there with just my Bible, and I should be able to give this talk, with the Bible, right? If I have faith. So then, of course, you get up there and you get talking, and you get a little bit into your conversation. I was quite new. I was just, ministerial servant. I wasn't an elder or anything. Second time I'm given this talk. But I thought I ripped the notes up. If I had faith, I could give the talk and that God would bless me. And you know what happened next? I didn't know what to say. I lost my place and I had no notes, and I fumbled around, but I reached in my case and I had some other notes. I pulled my notes out and I said to the audience, there's an example of blind faith. There's so much blind faith out there that people just believe, if I don't take a blood transfusion, I'm going to live forever on earth. And that's the belief, this blind faith. And when we think of sects and cults, So what did Jesus say? Jesus talked about faith. Faith in Christianity. There's faith in Christianity. This is what we're talking about. Christians. To be Christian is follower of Christ, not Jehovah. It's a follower of Christ to be Christian. And I think many sects in religions, not many, but some, like the Jehovah's Witnesses, take this word Christian and misapply it. They say, we're Christians. Oh, no, we're Christians. We're Christ-like. But they're not. They're Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses. They've chosen that title. They've abandoned kind of the Christian. We are Christian. On the memorial, we do that. We are Christian. But you see, when it comes to the birth of Christ, the Magi, the 3 wise men, if you do the research in the Jehovah's Witness literature, they tend to demonize that stuff. And then they disqualify Christ, and they even go to the point of calling Christ like an archangel, that he's an archangel. And so Christian, and then, okay, well, then they say, okay, well, if there's a prostitute in amongst us, we're gonna kick her out. We're gonna disfellowship her, get rid of her. We don't want her. We don't want. You see, now they become Paul's witnesses, because the Apostle Paul brought that in with religion. But Jesus in John 8, in the latter part that they knocked out of the Jehovah's Witness Bible, they it said that Jesus says, when it came to stoning the prostitute, he says, well, who of you who have not sinned are going to cast the first stone? And you see, that principle goes for all the elders. Now, all the elders want to believe that they're part of the 7 stars in Jesus' right hand. All the elders, they want to believe that. The Jehovah's Witnesses hierarchy have led the elders to believe that they're special. But then if that's the case, that means a lot of Jesus' stars commit fornication, are adulterers. There's some very bad people, pedophiles in there. I don't believe that's what that scripture means. You see, now we have people that want to feel better, narcissism setting in. And this all comes from Christianity, or does it? Or does it just come from some? I think it comes from all of them. They all have a certain amount of narcissism built into Christianity. And I think Christianity has strayed away from Jesus. They want to be called Christians, Jesus followers, but they stray so far away, they become Paulians, or Jehovians. You see, Jehovah's a god of war, Paul's a god of justice. Paul's never been married, never had kids, but yet he knows so much about kicking them out, kick the kids out, split the families up. And this is what concerns some of us about the Bible. You can take the Bible and you can follow just a certain portion of it, but you start trying to follow it all and say it all works together, you're going to find conflicts, conflict resolution, conflicts all over the place. But we come back to everyone wants to be a Christian, then I say, in my belief, you see, now I'm forming my own belief in my own mind, and this is what I'm showing you as the audience. We as individuals form beliefs, and you're going to have a different belief than me, of course, because you're a different individual. And your belief is going to be based on all of your experiences in your life. But now my belief, I'm just going to show you this, is based on my faith as in Jesus, if I want to be a Christian. So that means in the deck of cards that I use, when it comes to Paul and Jesus conflict, Jesus wins. When it comes to Jehovah and Jesus conflict, Jesus wins. Because Jesus never, ever used the name Jehovah. And I am still at odds with the pantheons. And I have a talk coming up, and I've done some research, and we're going to look at all the ages and how Jehovah got introduced to the nation of Israel. It's really an Israeli God. But Jesus never used it. He used El, or my God, Elohim, and we're going to get into that. Jesus says, my God, but Jesus never ever said, my Jehovah, or my Yahweh. Never ever did Jesus say that. He said, my Father. So when we look at the Old Testament, the New Testament, it's like they're two different gods, but it's like they tried to put it all together and make it one. And I believe there's a lot of information that's going to come out, is coming out, has come out. And as we move outside of Christianity and we move outside of these little sects, because it's men that told us what to believe. You see, it's the narcissist men that convinced us that we should believe a certain way. So now, within the Christian faith, in one sense, is often it's talked about believing in God's promises, trusting in His faithfulness, relying on God's character and to act. Some denominations believe in the New Covenant and in the doctrine of the salvation by faith alone. According to most Christian traditions and denominations, Christian faith requires a belief in the resurrection of Jesus and the agony in the garden, which Jesus states is the plan of the God the Father. So this is right from Wikipedia is where I'm reading. I'm not reading from the Watchtower. And I find I can get a broad view of what a lot of different denominations believe when how they're Christian. Some believe that it's about works. Some believe that it's just about faith. So there's different beliefs, and that's why we have different sects, different groups. Even on the XJW channel, you will find there are different little groups. And perhaps you as the audience, you might subscribe to a couple of different groups. Maybe some of the groups don't, and I notice when we look at our audience, there's probably about 60% that believe in God or spirituality. And then there's about 20% that are not sure. And then there's about 16% that don't claim to believe in God or anything, atheist. And then there's, some other things on that survey we ran. So if you haven't done the survey yet, please do. We're going to let it run for a while. We're going to use it and talk about it. And it helps me in my faith, fixing my faith. Now, I don't know how much I want to talk here about this New Testament and faith in Christianity, because I was in Christianity for so long. And I understand what it feels like to be in there and what it feels like to have that faith. Blind faith, really. Now, the dictionary terms the word belief. Here's what it says. Belief is the acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. So belief, let's say that again. Belief is the acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. So it uses it gives an example here. His belief in the value of hard work. So, my dad had that belief. He was a hard worker, believe in hard work. And that belief is kind of changing. People are saying, I work hard, and why do I do it all? Jehovah's Witness, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses say, I did this, I was an elder for all these years, I went out, and why? The end didn't come. It's just all false belief, right? So belief, we believe that it was true, that's why we were in it, or maybe we know it's not true, but we're still in it because of other reasons. But for the most part, we stay in something because we believe that it's true. Why would we waste our time if we didn't believe in it? Now, the second definition for belief is that they call it trust and faith. So they get faith in there. Or confidence in something or of something. Confidence in someone or something. So when we think of belief, we could think of trust, faith, or confidence in someone or something. Belief. So that would be like, let's say in the early century, Russell came around. We would.
Gilbert actually requested that you do read from JW.org.
From their Bible?
He says it's blasphemy that you're not reading from it.
Yeah. I do use it on a lot of shows, but I didn't pull it up. But I could use it if you wish. But anyways, we're in the dictionary right now, belief. So belief, trust, faith, or confidence in someone or something. So we think of belief in the governing body. You see, now we're getting into someone. And it's like we're putting faith and belief in people. So if we don't take blood transfusions, then we have belief that Nathan Knorr, was right. He's got to be some kind of a prophet, some kind of a smart guy, like the Elon Musk of the Bible world. Nathan Knorr. Can't use blood transfusions. You have to die. I don't know. That doesn't sound right. You see, once you get out, it doesn't sound right. But when you're in there, why did we believe in that? I had a blood card in my wallet. I believed in it. Blind faith. I didn't have anything to weigh it against. So it's trust, faith, or confidence in something, someone, or something. I've still got belief in myself. So we have to have belief in ourselves too, right? Trust in ourselves. So let's move on. We're going to look at, I'm going to go down here. Let's see, what did we pull up here? No, nothing there. Now I'm going to go over here. and faith. Let's see what I pulled up here. Nothing there. So now, egotistical. There's another word that we find, and it links in with narcissism. Ego. Ego, our ego. We all have ego. Sometimes a lack of ego could cause us to be depressed, or that's not good either. So there's a balance. Now, what is egotistical behavior? What is it? To be egotistical is to have an inflated view of your self-importance. Basically, to think you're better than everyone else. You might express this egotism by constantly reminding your friends that you have a fantastic figure or a magnificent mind. Definitions of egotistical adjective. So, self-importance, to have an inflated view of self-importance. So if you're in a religious sect, like the Jehovah's Witnesses, you could be a Mormon, could be a Seventh-day Adventist, could be a Hutterite, who knows, could be a Catholic. But for the most part, we're going to talk about Jehovah's Witnesses because that's what I was for mentally. I was that for 40 years, and in for 30 years. So I had, and this is where I'm getting to my problems I had when I came out. You see, when I came out of the Jehovah's Witness religion, I had this inflated view of self-importance. I felt like I didn't fit in. I felt like I knew something that most people didn't know. I felt I knew the truth. Even though I'm not going to the kingdom hall, I still felt I had the truth. We take that word seriously. I guess. I did, I guess. So here it is, basically to think you're better than everyone else. That's egotism, egotistical, ego. Now, what is ego versus narcissism? Now, a narcissist, most often than not, tend to be in love or attracted to oneself and sometimes indifferent toward the plight of others. So narcissists are in love or attracted to oneself, indifferent toward the plight of others. So when we think of end times, it's almost narcissist to think that everyone else is going to die, and that we have this spiritual paradise within all the kingdom halls. There's only 8.5 million of us, but we have this spiritual paradise, but everyone else is from Satan. You see, and the world is against us. They're going to put us in jail. They're going to take away our rights. They're in Norway. They're going to, they're putting us through the courts. Poor us, poor us. This is very narcissist to the definition. So narcissists, most often than not, tend to be in love or attracted to oneself. And the governing body is, in fact, in love with themselves. They're in love with their words. So they print many magazines and watchtowers based on their words. Now, am I narcissist or egocentric? Here's a question. Although the words egocentric and narcissist may appear similar, there are differences between the two. Being egocentric is when an individual is interested only in his needs, egocentric. So when I'm only interested in my needs, it's about me. Poor me. So sometimes when we come out of religion, I don't know. I had to admit that I experienced some of these, or if not all of them. On the other hand, being narcissistic is when an individual has an inflated sense of self-worth. So I think that's more the inflated sense of self-worth. I think for myself, I was very concerned about helping my parents, and they were getting old, so I was very giving. But yet I still felt I had this inflated self-worth, and I think that comes from the religion. That comes from that indoctrination and programming that Satan is against us, the world's against us, it's all about us, us, me. And that's the religion. And I don't know if the Mormons are like that, the Seventh-day Adventists. The Catholics, my wife says, are not like that, right?
Well, not the bunch I knew.
Not the ones she knew.
I'm sure there are some.
But maybe there are some, she says. If you guys out there have comments, let us know. Now we're going to carry on. What type of narcissist is the smartest? Cerebral. A cerebral narcissist, also known as intellectual narcissists, are individuals who try to fulfill their narcissistic supply through their perceived intelligence. While intellectual narcissists are generally smart, they may present as if they are more educated than they really are. So while the intellectual narcissists are generally smart, they may present as if they are more educated than they are. So a cerebral narcissist is actually an intelligent one. It was a smart narcissist. So when you think of, like I thought of Rutherford right away. Rutherford's one of the smartest guys. I did a video on Rutherford on his personality chart. It's, but it's interesting. It fit everything with his character. Rutherford, was a very smart guy, one of the smartest guys. Now, because the religion to this day still holds to his no beard policy. They're having a hard time releasing that. Except I did hear in Europe, there's a couple congregations, maybe they're trying to they're pulling in some beards. And I think Ramapo, they're going to have to pull in beards because now here's a survey we're going to run. Is Ramapo going to hire outside movie stars, or are they going to create their own movie stars? Like I think the Watchtower is going to make their own movie stars. They're not going to hire outside movie stars. So if they're going to create inside movie stars, only the elite members, the pioneers, missionaries, whatever, the ones that look nice too, they'll use the good looking ones and they'll get them in, but they're going to get brothers growing beards because I don't think they're going to use fake beards. I think they're going to use real beards. And I think slowly they're going to bring in the beard. They're going to allow people to have beards. And they're going to use Ramapo to be the model of beards. That's my prediction.
He draws a lot of grease.
So, and that new $168 million resident, that's solar powered and everything, that's all for the movie stars.
Vern, Powderpuff says that they want free labor.
Yeah. They're not going to pay for movie stars. They're going to create their own. And they're going to grow beards. I think the organization is going to make changes. They're going to have to, or they're going to lose their charity rights. And I think shunning will eventually have to go away. Let's carry on with narcissism. Now, what are the simple signs of narcissism? Signs and symptoms of narcissist personality disorder. Grandiose sense of self-importance. A grandiose sense of self-importance. We are going to live forever. We are going to live forever on this earth. And I'm confident. I'm confident because it says it right here in the Bible. Right here in the Bible. That's why I'm confident. And you see, that's Jehovah's Witnesses feel they know the Bible. And when I started looking at the Bible here a year ago, I realized how much I didn't know. And how much that I knew was little pieces here, little pieces there, little pieces there. It was all a jigsaw puzzle. And it's a grand illusion. It was a grand illusion. Rutherford was so smart. He's the master illusionist. So he created this illusion, and everyone bought into it until today. And when you get out, you feel, wow, was that ever a trick? That was a good trick. So if we feel like that, you see, it changes our mindset. Rather than feeling deceived, we feel tricked. We feel, wow, that was an illusion. But all of these people, and I'm wondering, the governing body of today, they're in the middle of the illusion. They actually believe that they're channeling God's energy, because Rutherford told him that. Russell told him that. More Rutherford. Russell was all about hiding his sex problems with Maria and fighting courts. That was Russell's issue. These are interesting guys. And once you start learning about the founders of the religion, you realize it's a sect, and a sect off of Catholicism, really. So the grandiose sense of self-importance is one of the things that the sect brings in, and all of the Jehovah's Witnesses feel more important than the rest of the world. You see, they feel higher up. So now here's the next one. Lives in a fantasy world that supports their delusion of grandeur. So as a Jehovah's Witness, we go all those years. I went all those years, and the paradise is just in front of us. It's right there. And we just got to keep preaching, and you'd have questions. Well, what about all these people? Well, God reads hearts. Don't let that be your concern. Your concern is to get out and do the preaching work. And so we get out and do the preaching work, and you never really get past Psalms 37, verse 29, and maybe one or two scriptures. So as a pioneer, you don't learn anything. You don't know the Bible. You know a few scriptures, just a few. And it's so shallow, the knowledge that we get. But we're living this grandeur expectation that was put upon us, or put into our minds, by the governing body through all these pictures, all these Watchtower pictures, and it's programmed us slowly over time. So what have I learned? I learned that if you're in an organization that's using books and pictures and a pile of books and stuff, they're programming you. Any organization. So if you're going to go to school to be an electrician, you're going to get a pile of books and pictures and diagrams. They're programming you to be an electrician, so that you know the safety of it, that you know the guidelines, you know how dangerous it is or how not dangerous it is. Elon Musk, but Tesla back at the start of the century, he used to play with electricity, arc it off his fingers. Some people, their knowledge of electricity is just great, to a great degree. But if you don't have that knowledge, you don't understand it. And that's like the Bible. If we don't look into it, we don't have the knowledge. And as a Jehovah's Witness, we don't really necessarily get the knowledge. We just know that Satan's against us, that it's a wicked world, and Satan's out there. The paradise earth is just ahead. It's coming. And even though it's delayed a bit, it's still coming. The 1914 thing, it's delayed. But we're going to have fun with the movie theaters. That's going to be a lot of fun, right? That's a Jehovah's Witness. I don't know. What do they think nowadays? So I think it's important. We were talking today about the Jehovah's Witness channels. There's a lot of action happening on the channels right now. And, it makes us wonder about a lot of things. But as a creator, on the channel, it's I think for some that have been out there doing this for a lot of years, it's a big part. There's a lot of work, and it can be angry feeling at times, because we're waiting for the Watchtower to crumble, but maybe it hasn't yet. But will it, or will it change? This is yet to see. So I know for me, when I took this journey to be on channels like this, I knew it wasn't forever. We actually gave it a time, 3.5 years. And we know it would be charity, and we're in a position that we can keep doing it like this, because we're not, it's something to do. If I'm out here on my farm, this is just like an hour or whatever. I get up here and chit chat. I don't really say too much. I hope I say a few things. But if my kids wake up or whatever and they want to watch these later on in life, they can. It's a trail, right? And so I can talk as though I'm talking to my daughter, my adult son, and think that I'm leaving them a sense of direction, at least as a family member. And through the course of it, we get to know a lot of you guys. So it's all good. Now, the next thing is signs and symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder. A narcissist needs constant praise and admiration. Now, you'd have to ask my wife, and she runs the comments online. I don't know, like, I didn't feel I needed constant praise. I don't know. That's some narcissists need it. Rutherford, I guess if you're an elder giving talks, you want to hear, or we give these parts online here, right? So if a comment comes in that's abrasive, does it bother me? No, I don't care. So I think it's good that people have that people can comment, and you go to the Kingdom Hall, no one wants to comment because of you see people. But here, it's not the Kingdom Hall. We're online. No one knows. You don't really, well, you get to know people a little bit, but you don't really know people, so you can say what you want. Sense of entitlement. Jehovah's Witnesses, narcissists, sense of entitlement. A sense of entitlement. Well, it is a sense of entitlement because we're going to live on the earth. We're going to entitle the earth, and all these other people are going to die. So that is a sense of entitlement when you think of it that way. Exploits others without guilt or shame. So we're going to take over the paradise earth. The end's coming. Armageddon's coming. We're going to take over. And I've often wondered, how are the Jehovah's Witnesses going to do that? How's God going to work through the Jehovah's Witnesses to do that? And so the Jehovah's Witnesses would say, we have to have faith. We know it's going to happen. It's going to be us. It's going to be through the governing body, and we're going to have the direction, the proper food at the proper time. You see, and this is how we were trained to think. Exploits others without guilt or shame. So we're going to take over the earth, and all these people are going to be eaten up by the magpies and the crows and all the birds of prey. And they're just going to eat all those rotten people that have died at Armageddon. They'll just be rotting all over the place, right? The birds are looking after it. We're going to probably plug our noses for a while. I'm not sure. I never really got into that discussion with anybody, but the elders. But I don't know. Maybe there's elders online. Maybe you guys are elders online and you had answers for these questions, like what's going to happen. But I think the narcissist part of being a Jehovah's Witnesses is to think that we have a sense of entitlement to the earth and others are going to die. And we're going to exploit others without guilt or shame. It says it right here. And then frequently deems, intimidates, bullies, or belittles others. So does the Watchtower frequently demean, intimidate, bully, or belittle others? And that would tell you that it's narcissistic. It's right here. It's no wonder the Watchtower doesn't want us to learn, because all you have to do is plug this in and you can learn this stuff. You learn all about them. But yeah, it fits. It fits the Watchtower organization for sure. Narcissistic. So what is an example? We can go on and on about these things. Now, I had something else put up here. Narcissistic personality disorder. Do you know someone who thinks that they're better than everyone else but flies off the handle at the slightest criticism? Do you ever know someone like that? Flies off the handle.
I knew somebody like that.
No, but over the slightest criticism? Did I do that?
No, it would just be the slightest difficulty.
The slightest difficulties. I found that prior, I don't know, if something goes wrong and I get mad. It just seemed like the ready response, just to get mad, get angry. And not in a physical or abusive way, but just like my demeanor would change. Like you'd see it all over my face and my body, and everyone would just run because the energy is so bad. I wouldn't even have to say anything. I would just be mad. Just inside, my face would just...
The dogs would run, the horses would flee, the chickens scattered.
But not too often,
No.
but just sometimes, But, if we're really in control of our bodies and our minds, we should be able to control those things, I think. There's other emotions that we can turn to besides anger. That's a whole nother subject, actually. But I'm sharing with you my journey. It's a little bit of a journey. And I think a lot of the journey is we have to be honest, and we have to admit that, yeah, I was a narcissist. And here's the key. I'm going to get into this. I'm going to let the program cover it here. Can you fix it? Can you fix narcissism? So first of all, we're going to look at this. It says, what is a narcissistic personality disorder? They call it NPD. The word narcissism gets tossed around a lot in our selfie-obsessed, celebrity-driven culture, often to describe someone who seems excessively vain or full of themselves. But in psychological terms, narcissism doesn't mean self-love, at least not of a genuine sort. It's more accurate to say that people with narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD, are in love with an idealized, grandiose image of themselves. So the Jehovah's Witness organization is in love with this idealized, grandiose vision of this paradise earth. And that they're going to be on it, and they're going to live forever, and it's going to be like a cruise ship experience, maybe. I don't know what they're saying today, but in my day, your mind would go. They'd show all these pictures, right? And now they're going to make movies about it. But so it goes on to say, and they're in love with this inflated self-image, precisely because it allows them to avoid deep feelings of insecurity, but propping up their delusions of grandeur takes a lot of work, and there's where the dysfunctional attitudes and behaviors come in. So it does take a lot of work for the Watchtower to keep up this image. And now that the end didn't come, it's going to take a lot of work for them to work around it and to produce another magic trick. And the other these illusions and magic tricks going to keep coming out of the hat for them to keep their audience, or they're going to lose their audience. Now, narcissistic personality disorder involves a pattern of self-centered, arrogant thinking and behavior, a lack of empathy and consideration for other people, an excessive need for admiration. So who does that remind you of? Without saying it. Others often describe people with NPD as cocky, manipulative, selfish, patronizing, and demanding. And this way of thinking and behavior surfaces in every area of a narcissist's life, from work, friendship, family, love, and relationship. I wonder if the governing body kind of, has your application form would have to fit a narcissistic personality to be a governing body, because it's extremely, extremely narcissistic when you think of it. They need admiration from everyone else, so they need the worship. It's only through them. A lack of empathy, so when you think of some of the things said about all kinds of things, babies, families, consideration for the families, with the disfellowshipping. There's no consideration for how this affects and disrupts the family. And that kind of answers one of our questions here is strong families, what does God want? And I think when we look at it, Jesus was promoting strong families. People with narcissistic personality disorders are extremely resistant to changing their behavior, even when it causes them problems. Their tendency is to turn the blame on others. So the governing body, they easily get up and blame it on the apostates, because that's a good scapegoat. We left the organization, so we're the problem. Some people buy into that. What's more, they are extremely sensitive and react badly to even the slightest criticisms, disagreements, or perceived slights, which they view as personal attacks. So the governing body gets up and, some apostate puts out a video, and whatever, the governing body gets up and they take it personal. And there's so many of their videos out showing how they have taken it personal and how they have reacted. Not good. So it says, however, by understanding more about narcissistic personality disorder, you can spot the narcissists in your life and protect yourself from their power plays and establish healthier boundaries. And it talks about speaking to a licensed therapy if a person's having issues. So coming out of the Jehovah's Witness, it is an issue. It is an issue. So is this at the bottom of this one? I think it is. So here it is. It's not known what causes narcissistic personality disorder. It's not. It says here. The cause is likely complex. It's a complex thing. Narcissistic personality disorder may be linked to environment, parent-child relationships with either too much adoration or too much criticism that don't match the child's actual experiences and achievements. So that's just one of the thoughts here. Can you reverse being a narcissist? Can you reverse it? Can NPD be cured? No. That's what it says. It says narcissistic personality disorder is a lifelong mental health disorder. However, treatment might help you manage symptoms and reduce the impact condition may have on self-esteem, work, and relationships. So there you go. If we develop this narcissistic personality through the Watchtower, and if you're in it for a long time, you develop it, you believe that you're better, you're higher up, you have the truth, they're in the world, everything's from Satan, we're in a spiritual paradise, we're elevated, and then as you work your way up in the organization to becoming an elder, a district overseer, circuit overseer, district overseer, and then get into the governing body, it's very narcissistic to believe that God is channeling all his power through you as a person and as a group of person, and you actually believe that you're getting up in the morning with God's thoughts for the whole world. Very narcissistic. Can you cure it? It says no, you can't cure it. It's a lifelong mental health disorder. So we get this, like they say they don't know how you get it, but we get it through this organization. It causes us brain damage and lifelong problems. I could be exaggerating.
No. The organization exaggerates the condition.
Yeah, they do exaggerate it. The organization, yes. So narcissistic personality disorder treatment, there is no cure, but therapy can help. The goal is to build up the person's poor self-esteem and have more realistic expectations of others. Treatment usually centers on talk therapy, and sometimes people call this psychotherapy. So what we're doing right now is actually the cure, talking about it. That's everything I'm seeing is just talking. And if you go to a psychologist and talk, he might not understand your religion. And that's why I think it's important if you have the chance to talk online on the chat. It's a part of healing. It's a part of working through this process that we all have. It says, showing results for how to undo a narcissistic personality. Excuse me. Excuse me again. It says the first thing is to educate yourself about it, and that's what we're doing today. Build your self-esteem up. So, I've never thought I had low self-esteem, though. So Jehovah's Witnesses, I think, usually have a high self-esteem. Wouldn't you think so?
What's that?
Self-esteem. This says to build it up, but I don't think Jehovah's Witness would have a low self-esteem.
Look at the door-to-door work.
Well, I guess it can knock you down, eh? The door-to-door work.
Psychology there, yeah.
So you go out on the door-to-door work all morning, and you get all door slams, but then the Jehovah's Witnesses get together, and they all share experiences. And yeah, I had this door slammed, and yeah, I had this door slammed, and now they're sharing. Oh, and yeah, so and so went to jail, and we're all martyrs. And you see, that pulls the group closer together, makes it tight knit, and sometimes that. When the world, and then the world's against us. It's all run by Satan. And, everyone gets together at McDonald's, and McDonald's is run by Satan too, right? Because the whole world's run by Satan. But everyone gets together at McDonald's, has a coffee, and talks about how the whole world's run by Satan. That's what it's like to be a Jehovah's Witness. You go out and service all morning and get doors slammed in your face, and let's all meet at McDonald's for coffee. Okay, now speak up for yourself is number 3. Set clear boundaries. This is how to undo a narcissistic personality. set clear boundaries, practice skills to keep calm. I think that's important, and find a support system. So here's why I think practice skills to keep calm is important. We don't want to get, we have this personality, we get outside of the watchtower, we feel a bit pissed off, and we could use our the same narcissism back on them. We're doing the same thing, just back on them. So I think it's tough. This is tough. So here's number 6, and here's what I think is important: find a support system. So it's important to find somewhere to talk to people. And I notice on these videos that we put out, people talk, and we don't talk much no more, but we do read them. We read the comments, and you guys are a good audience. Appreciate that. Insist on immediate action, not promises. Understand that narcissistic person may need professional help. So I guess when we see people online, we're going to see people coming out of the religion, and we're going to see a lot of narcissistic. So it might take a bit of patience on our end. What phrases disarm a narcissist? I just threw this in for some fun, making fun of myself. Now, the following are 16 key phrases to disarm a narcissist. Because there's phrases that you can use that can just send a narcissist over the deep end, right? And you want to disarm them. So think of the governing body as the narcissist. Or let's say Brother Righteous, who wants to emulate the governing body. There's lots of them. The following are the 16 key phrases. We'll just say a few of them. I can't control how you feel about me. What are you going to say? I can't control how you feel about me. You're going to die at Armageddon if you don't listen to me. I can't control how you're going to feel about how you feel about me. See, they feel that I'm going to die. That's a negative thing. They just threw that back on them. It's hard to respond to that. So, the narcissist going on at your door. I'm thinking Jehovah's Witness, right? Well, we really need to get you studying the Bible. We want to save your life. And so you're at the door and you say, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. You don't really give a shit, right? You just hear what they're saying. Like, I hear what they're saying. I don't give a shit. But the Jehovah's Witnesses say, you're going to die at Armageddon if you don't sign up this Bible study. I'm the Jehovah's Witness. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Throws a narcissist off. Okay, number 3. The narcissist says, okay, we've been studying for 6 months now. I think it's time that we get you into baptism, get you into the second book. Or you might not make it. Like baptism is so important. You might not make it into the new system. So you say, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry you feel that way. You see, because who is it for them to decide if we're going to get into the new system? Like, or whatever there is beyond this life. But who is it for the narcissist Jehovah's Witness? Because remember, they're using a book that is given to them, a guideline, by the governing body, the real big narcissists. And they're using this book, this guideline to narcissism, how to use this narcissism to get other people into your narcissistic cult. And you're going to say, well, I'm sorry you feel that way if I'm going to die, Like, what else do you say? Or you say, well, everything's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. Or you could say, well, we both have a right to our own opinion, don't we? Like, what are you going to say to that? Like, I have a right to my own opinion, don't I? Okay. So the Jehovah's Witness comes to your door, the governing body, and I like to blame it on them. The governing body comes to your door because they are, through the Jehovah's Witness, with their books, Watchtower. And they go on and on and on about, the Jehovah's Witness goes on and on at the door, right? You ever get your foot in the door when you're a Jehovah's Witness? You get your foot in the door, figuratively speaking, and literally speaking, and you're there for an hour, and that poor householder just can't say no, and you just keep flipping from what. That's what Jehovah's Witnesses do. And you can say, I don't like how you're speaking to me, so I will not engage. Just simply say that. If you're the householder, I don't like how you're speaking to me. I'm not going to engage. What are they going to say? They're going to leave. But they want you to engage because then they can stay another hour. Count more time. Anyways, pick on. But you see, it's easy for me to pick on me. I did a lot of that. I was a narcissistic Jehovah's Witness. I have to admit that. I felt that people were going to die, and I had the truth. I have to admit that. So I think it's good to talk about it. And it's helped me in my marriage. It's helped me to realize that I catch myself. I catch myself in my thinking. And now that I realize that this stuff, you can't get rid of this completely your whole life, but you can manage it. So these guys really screwed us up. And that's why a lot of people are mad. They get mad at the governing body. Now here's 8 triggers that a Jehovah's Witness could have. Sorry about that. Yeah, we're already an hour and a half, so we're going to shut the show down here pretty quick with just a few items here. 8 triggers of a narcissist Jehovah's Witness. And not all Jehovah's Witnesses are narcissists. There's lots of good Jehovah's Witnesses that aren't, probably. But to the most degree, if you're a Jehovah's Witness and you believe that you're the only ones and you have the truth, you're a narcissist. It's simple as that. So let's not fool ourselves. Let's not play games with ourselves. So 8 triggers. They don't get their way even if they want what is unreasonable. They feel they've been criticized even if the critique is constructive or said kindly. They're not the center of attention. So the Watchtower org likes to be the center of attention. They like to be better than the Jews. We've been persecuted just as much as the Jews. Well, there was 1,400 Jehovah's Witnesses that sadly died and didn't have to. And there was 3 million Jews. So who got persecuted more? You decide. They're not the center. They want to be the center of attention. We should have religious rights, but yet we don't want to be in the phone book with religions. We don't want to be, you guys are all the Babylon the Great. You're going to die at Armageddon with the wild beast. You guys are fornicating with the wild beast. It even gets into that. You want to talk about. But yeah, it's so they're caught breaking rules or respecting boundaries. So 8 triggers say it causes rage if they're caught breaking rules. So if we want to really get to the governing body and we catch them breaking rules and we publicize that, they really don't like that. Like burying toxic chemicals at Watchtower Farms for years and years and years. Shame on Watchtower. Things like that. We catch them and it gets publicized. So now, here's 25 things narcissists say and do and what they mean. I don't know if I'll cover this. You have trust. Narcissists will say to other people. So would a Jehovah's Witness say? So if I'm a Jehovah's Witness, would I say this? Would I say you're so jealous and insecure, or you're so jealous and insecure? I hate to say this, but my ex used to say that to me. Because I was jealous and insecure. It's nailed it, yeah. My exes are all crazy. You're overreacting. I used to get that a lot. You're always overreacting, Vern. You're always overreacting. You have trust issues. I always got that a lot. You have trust issues. You need to toughen up. My dad used to say that, but that's what every dad says. It's not my fault. You made me do it. So the Watchtower says it's not our fault. It's Satan's fault. You see, that's the biggest Jehovah's Witness escape. We blame it all on Satan. And it's the biggest scapegoat, the worst one, but it really boils down to narcissism. I didn't realize it, but that's huge for Jehovah's Witness. What does God say about gaslighting? Gaslighting is another thing that narcissists do a lot of. However, Hebrews 6 offers hope when you have been a victim of gaslighting by reminding that no matter what your abuser has told you, God cannot lie and his promises are true and trustworthy. There's discrepancy about that in the Bible because the Bible has so many holes in it. So it would appear that almost like God does lie within the Bible. But I always come back and say, well, the Bible was written by men and we're just starting to learn. It's not a science book, and perhaps it's been all kind of put together to control people and make money. So that's what I think. Now, what not to say to a narcissist? Don't say it's about you, or don't say you're not listening, or don't say in the garden did not get her lasagna recipe from you. Don't say you don't think it might be your fault, and don't say you're being a bully, and don't say stop playing the victim. I don't know what will happen if you start saying those things. Would they get mad? Perhaps. Phrases and words that destroy narcissists. I know the truth about you. Or I see right through you. Well, I don't remember that. I'm busy and I don't have time for you right now. Jehovah's Witness at the door. You're a failure and I'm disappointed in you. Governing body, you say that to them. Governing body, well, it's you guys' fault. It's all coming back to you. You guys are reaping what you have sown. They don't like that. Well, I don't believe you. The end did not come 1914, 1925, 1945, 1970. The end didn't come. I don't believe you. And here's the last thing. Goodbye. Narcissists don't like that. What is the spiritual purpose of narcissists? The spiritual narcissist is someone who uses faith and spirituality to manipulate others and obtain a narcissistic supply to boost their own ego. I'm going to say that again. A spiritual narcissist is someone who uses faith and spirituality to manipulate others and obtain a narcissistic supply to boost their own ego. This can be your preacher, your guru, or your spiritual coach. Also, a spiritual narcissist can be your family member, a parent, or your romantic partner. See, I could be a narcissist here on this channel, like pushing all of my guru ideas onto you guys. I would hope not. But we all have a bit of this narcissism in us. Now, here's one. Why do narcissists love church? Why do they like religion? It says, however, it's important to remember that we should first pray for discernment before dismissing our reactions. Spiritual narcissists love our churches because it's easy for them to hide in plain sight, discredit their victims, find supporters, and secure their position by becoming needed. And isn't that what most sects are, in a sense, right? Now, what does God say about dealing with the narcissist? 1 Corinthians 7 and 15 tells us, if an unbeliever, this includes a narcissist, you can read my article about whether a person's believer can't live with you in peace, and let them live without you. So if an unbeliever can't live with you in peace, then let them live without you. I don't know, that's just... Who wrote that? I don't believe everything I wrote. This one was written up by ChangingUs.org. Here's one by Mental Health Center of America. I believe this article more. It says, what does a narcissist believe about God? God is everything the narcissist ever wants to be. Omnipotent, omniscient, omniscient. Yeah. So omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, admired, much discussed, and awe-inspiring. So God is everything the narcissist ever wants to be. So the narcissist wants to be godlike. So it says God is the narcissist's wet dream. That's what it says here. From Mental Health Center of America. His ultimate grandiose fantasy is to be like God. But God comes handy in other ways as well. The narcissist alternately idealizes and devalues figures of authority. So this is the governing body to a T. They want to be godlike. You have to go through them. You have to listen to them, or you're not going to get saved. You're going to, and if you disobey, you're outside. You're an apostate. So it's God. They're godlike. Be careful. What does God say about this? Let's see what it says here. Paul seemed concerned about a character, so he warned Timothy to beware of those who act out of self-love attitude. And that's in 2 Timothy 3:1-7 if you want to look at it. Paul. And now we're at the very last. Narcissist uses their religious beliefs to manipulate, control, and dominate you through fear. So that's big fear. So fear-mongering, and we've exposed that. And lots of sects, not only Jehovah's Witnesses, but they all do it. They all use fear, and keeps everyone hooked on them. Okay, well that's it. That brings our program to a close for narcissism and belief and faith. So I think we beat up those subjects a little bit. And maybe to end our program, we'll throw on some music, eh? What do we have here? What do we have online? Now, we could throw on some music, but Gilbert's going to have to get up and dance for everyone. Gilbert, we're still waiting for your video. You'll have to send it in for us. Okay.
Hey, wait, one announcement.
Any announcements? I guess I didn't look here.
We have 280 signatures on our petition. Let them know that. And
oh, nice. Okay, so we want to thank everyone. We have 280 signatures on our petition.
yeah.
And that's the Canadian petition. Everyone knows. I mentioned it in all the videos. So, and if you know anybody in Canada, even if they're non-Jehovah's Witnesses, you have relatives or anything like, I know it's hard to do, but if you can get them to sign it, that would be good. And we're just going to keep reaching out, on the channel. We have to get 500, so we're getting there. We're almost at 300. So we thank everyone for all your support. And that. And also, we'd like to give Yoshi and Powder Puff a big thank you for their donations. I really do appreciate that. Now, I think we'll end up here with the Cuban reggae mix. We'll go back to that little reggae mix, and I'll put on the background here. It's kind of nice. We did that last week. Still got too much stuff going on in my mixer here, and I'm going to make it more complicated. Probably. There we go, the ocean view. Because you can put so many views in, and then you can put sound effects in. But like I said, where we're going, we're not really going to tell anybody too much the exact location. Apostates don't want to give out their location, right? That's what I'm finding out. So we will be in a location though, and we'll be sharing some of the views. And we really don't know where we're going though. That's the cool thing about this journey. We haven't taken a holiday for quite a while. And even driving around our own backyard. We're kind of tired of Alberta though, so we're going to move on. We're going to go west, but we'll share some of the journey with you guys as it comes up. And until next time, folks, and join us Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We also do a live, and it gives you guys a chance to get involved, and we get to know each other a little better. So thank you everyone for attending, and let's get up and do a little jigging here. Here we go. Okay. Well, thank you guys for attending, and I hope you got up and jigged there with us for a bit there. So, till next Tuesday, we'll see you next time. Bye for now.